I tried to speedrun Heartbound under 2 hours to try to get a Steam refund and it was miserable.
I'm losing my mind. I don't like this game.
Heartbound is a non-traditional role-playing game about a boy, his dog, secrets, and sanity. The person responsible for it is Jason Thorhall, better known as Pirate Software, a Twitch streamer who occasionally codes and is the director, programmer, designer, and writer of Heartbound. Rumors say he has also worked in Blizzard, but I would not want to speculate much, so maybe in the future we'll find out more about it.
I was watching a video that was critiquing you for mentioning you work at Blizzard so much. I literally never talk about it. When I worked at Blizzard, I did that for Blizzard. Blizzard, 7 years, yeah. Blizzard. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. Used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. You're red team specialist for Blizzard Entertainment. And Blizzard.
According to the Steam of the recent reviews that Heartbound got, only 5% were positive, so we are already off to a good start. That might also have something to do with the hot water that Tower has gotten himself into for criticizing Stop Killing Games movement.
This is shit. It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to. That is awful. That is a horrible goddamn direction. That's awful.
I really enjoyed Undertale, so in the off chance that Heartbound is anything like it, I decided to give it a shot. Yan said that it's good, so I guess I'll trust. So here's the plan. Download the game and beat it under 2 hours so that I still can try to get a refund from Steam. Another review said that there's not much content in this game, so I thought that it will be fine if I go into the speedrun blind by trying to skip all the dialogue. Also, puzzles were supposedly easy. Well, that was a mistake. First things first, after downloading the game, I ran into a problem because it just crashed. I'm gonna transition to the game window. Why is it not opening up? Did I get scammed? Did I buy the wrong game? Please no. I was like 10 bucks. Thor said it's super well optimized to a point where it can run on a smart fridge, but that turned out to be just a monitor and the computing actually happened on the laptop that was connected to the smart fridge.
It is irrelevant to increase performance on a game that runs on a smart fridge.
Here's the video of Heartbound running, quote unquote, on a smart fridge. Let's rewind a little. What do we notice here? We notice that the game is actually being run on a laptop and streamed to the fridge using a Raspberry Pi device. If we zoom in a little closer, you can see it says connecting to Heartbridge, which is the name of the laptop and the hotspot connection he set up. In this case, the screen simply acts as a controller. Everything is running on the laptop, and the actual output is just being streamed back to the smart fridge.
But I'm getting sidetracked here. I started the timer as soon as the menu loaded, and we wake up in the middle of the night in our room. I tried to walk out through the door thinking that my character is just thirsty, but apparently we needed to wake up our dog named Baron. And this is where going into the speedrun blindly already shows its cons, because all I needed to do to wake up the dog was turn on the light instead of trying to talk to Baron like an idiot. That's like 30-second time loss already. The dog woke up and told us to put on some clothes. I guess we cannot walk around our own house in pajamas. That's not very American-like. In the hallway, father tells us to throw away trash, but first we feed the dog and then head outside, pick up an axe for fun I guess, dispose of garbage and head back to sleep. While we sleep, the dog gives us a pep talk for no particular reason, and when we wake up, the whole house is in disarray. I have no idea how we slept through it all, but okay. On our search for the dog that went missing, we encounter our first puzzle. Although, I don't know if we can call that a puzzle, because all you have to do is just push the tree stumps out of the way, which took like 20 seconds. Right after this area, we run into our first enemy encounter. There were 5 phases that will repeat. First one, where you click on the incoming projectiles. Second one is similar to Undertale, where you have to stop the cursor on time to perform an attack. Next one was dodging these purple beams with arrow keys, and after that was clicking on the eyes in order. Doesn't seem like there was a timer on it, so as long as you can count to 4, you're good. And last one was swing X to parry purple flames 3 times. We do this a few times until a man that looks like Hihachi Mishima shows up, that shaved his mustache, was going senile but still wanted to look youthful, so he dyed his hair brown. Mishima teleports us away to safety and tells us that we need to get some artifact to save our dog. That's all the information that we could get from this old man, and we're on to our second puzzle. It's not much of a puzzle, because to solve it, you just push the pillars to the end of the track and turn on the switch. That's literally all. The second room was just as easy, as you turn on the switches and the door unlocks. For the final room, I had to activate all my remaining brain cells that survived doom scrolling and brain rot I've consumed since COVID. In this room, I first had to turn off the switch to be able to push the pillars and then turn it back on. After we're done with these puzzles, we reach the artifact, but unexpectedly we get a white ghost that starts talking to us. That was, I guess, scary enough for my laptop to freeze the game. It froze for like 5 minutes. After rebooting my laptop, I went back to work. Unfortunately, last time I saved was when my dog went missing, so I had to redo all the puzzles, which took only about 5 minutes, so not too bad. We let the white ghost finish talking this time and wake up back in our room with our dog walking out as soon as we get up. Well, that's sad. We walk out the room, but instead of the rest of the house, we find ourselves in some caverns, where we blindly try to find our way out, also reading some random notes along the way. That's another instance of why it's not a good idea to try to speedrun this game blindly. We run into walls in the darkness for a few minutes until we stumble upon the same enemy that we fought earlier. This Demogorgon looking purple blob also had the exact same attacks, so it was even easier to defeat it the second time around since I already knew what to do. The hardest part for me was switching my right hand to the keyboard to press arrow keys back to the mouse on time, which I guess I could have used both hands for, but I had to make it a bit more challenging for myself. I believe this is as far as the demo goes, so if you want, you can put yourself through this for free. But we are not done just yet. The dog gets laser beamed and split into 3 parts that scatter to different areas, just like Horcruxes. There are 3 areas we get to choose, and I went with the red one. Here, I actually had to think there for a second. The red door had a password lock on. There was some text on the computer which I thought will be a riddle that I have to solve, but there is one sentence that goes like this: you can always feed us 7 once and be on your way. So after inputting number 1 7 times, the door unlocks. I was reading too much into this. Outside, we run into the dad that seemed to be mad and uses his telekinesis power to hide us from this mysterious her. We find ourselves in a company that is under constant surveillance from these flying camera pigeons that if seen by them, it teleports you to a cubicle. For some reason, we just became an unpaid intern, and now Oscar, a talking computer, tells us what to do. The first task is to go to the cafeteria and bring the order to the front. The order shows up on the board behind the counter, and all it takes to fulfill it is to pick up orders one by one and bring it to the front. You can't fail at it. If you bring the wrong thing, it won't let you give it to them. There is no time constraint, so if you pick up the wrong thing, you can just drop it on the floor. There are only 2 things on the menu, so you can't mess it up. So just pick up a sushi roll, turn around, drop it off, pick up a sandwich, turn around, drop it off, and you repeat that for 2 minutes. It's not fun. It's more like a chore than anything. Once we're done with this so-called minigame, there's another task we need to do. There are 5 ducks hidden around the office that we need to find and bring to this sleazy looking guy. Let's play a minigame now. Can you spot the duck in 5 seconds? It's right here. Well, if you did not get it, don't worry, it took me 10 minutes to find all 5 of them. For the other guy in the computer room, we need to bring a red note from his cubicle. That task would have taken me less time to complete had I actually read the dialogue. But since I was rushing through it, I did not catch what he said. Unfortunately, he did not want to repeat himself, so I resorted to looking up a guide online on what was the thing that he wanted me to do. Time is ticking, and I started to lose all hope that I will make it on time to get the refund. The delivery of the sticky notes shows how impressive of an intern we are, so we go to Oscar to get reassigned for a job that would utilize our unprecedented skills of finding and delivering things in the office. This time we have to stay in a cubicle for a minute and just do nothing. That's enough to get promoted to a manager. We take an elevator up to the next level where we find a bigger cubicle, and once again it's more of just talking to NPCs and doing chores for them, like bringing this guy sunglasses, for which he gives us $1 and tells us to buy coffee for him. And if you try to say no to that request, another guy just spawns right in and asks if you're sure about this. The only 2 options that you have is no, so your choice did not matter. Reluctantly, I went to a coffee shop, got his order, brought back, and threw right into the void. Apparently, he didn't even like coffee. But in return, we learned how to whistle. This newly learned ability allows us to call the blob in the pool, gives us a locket, showing us a faint glimpse of our house from the beginning of the game. We get told by the artifact that can talk now for some reason that there are 3 more pieces left to find. I randomly check out the vending machine to find the next locket that shows the same scene but with just a little bit more light. For the next part, you have to talk to this one NPC in the coffee shop so that it appears in the gym, where I've been to already multiple times. So it can tell you that there's an item lying on the weights rack. I lost 15 minutes on figuring this part out. After eventually finding it, the artifact told me that there was just 1 more locket. I've spent the next 6 minutes trying to find it,
but I just got frustrated with it, and seeing how close we got to the 2-hour mark, I decided to give up. 1-0 to Pirate Software. I looked it up and the last locket was right under the counter in the cafeteria. Obtaining this last piece unlocks the memory of overhearing our parents fighting. The mom says dad is being lazy and all that. You know, the typical marriage quarrels. Once you collect all the pieces, the big red doors finally open, behind which we face off our mother as a boss. Which I put in quotation mark because all it is just picking dialogue options. There is no actual gameplay. After you tell your mom that you don't actually hate her, I guess she explodes. The dad steps in and gives you a phone to call him because he's gotta go back to work. Baron, our dog, suddenly appears out of thin air and works as your therapist, helping you move past your bad memories. This ends the level and brings you back to the level section area with only 2 options remaining. However, the one in the middle is 90% just talking to the NPCs and walking around looking for things. There's one minigame where you have to hold a basket over your head and collect flowers. But once again, it does not matter at all how many you've collected. At least in this minigame, you have to watch out for the falling acorns and branches. There are also these 2 turtles that you meet in this level, and after some interactions they go into the woods and you start following them. But then, the level is not finished. That takes like 30 minutes at most if you're actually interested in the story and read everything. Same thing with this last blue level, as it is literally just one cutscene. You walk through the door and that's it. The game is over.
So it definitely is possible to do it under 2 hours. Had I only found the lockets and the ducks faster, I could skip through all the dialogues in this other level and I would have gotten my money back. Talking about money, let's thank the sponsor of this video. Just kidding, I don't have a sponsor.
Review time. I know that the game is in early access, but it has been like that for years now.
Mind you, Heartbound has been in early access almost the same amount of time as it took to create entire game, Silksong.
The part of the game where it had the most gameplay was the demo, and after that there's not much to do besides walking, doing chores, and reading the dialogues, which are not that well written. Like literally, this game has one boss fight. The story itself is confusing. Nothing gets resolved at all and it just happens randomly. Maybe in the future updates it will start making sense. But the dialogues are still lackluster. I did not like any of the characters, including the protagonist. Overall, I probably would not recommend this game to anyone, especially in its current state. Just go play Undertale if you still haven't.